Let's look at factoring this trinomial here, 5x squared plus 11x plus 2. Now this is a trinomial, but a is no longer 1. Our a value is 5, our b value is 11, and our c value is 2. So if we want to factor this, our first step here says that we must take a times c. So if we do a multiplied by c, just do a little bit of side work over here, 5 times 2 equals 10. So that's our first step when we're going to factor this question. The next thing is we have to look at the combination of factors that would equal 10, but they also now have to add to be b, which is equal to 11. So we have two sets of factors that we can use. Our factors would be 5 times 2 equals 10, but 5 plus 2 doesn't equal 11. And our other factors are 10 times 1. So 10 plus 1 equals b, so that will work. So we can just write this over here by this step, 10 plus 1. So to speak, like our trinomials, those are our magic numbers. So our next step says we need to leave our a term the same, 5x squared. Leave the a term the same, don't do anything to it, 5x squared. And then we're decomposing that 11x. Now we're not changing the value at all. We're going to have 10x plus 1x. Now I'm just going to erase my scrap work here real quick because we don't need to see our a times c information anymore. So if we go back, you can now see that 10 plus 1 still equals 11, so we haven't changed the value. And then we leave the c term the same, leaving the c the same. Now we can factor by grouping. So our first two numbers here, we can common factor. So I'm going to factor out 5 and x because they're both common. 5 divided by 5 equals 1. I had two x's. I factored 1 out. I'm left with just 1. 10 divided by 5 equals 2. I had 1x. I factored it out. And that is it. Here, there's nothing common really between 1 and 2 except for factoring out 1. And the nice thing about factoring out 1 is, of course, it doesn't change the value at all behind it. When done correctly, you're always going to have two binomials that are common to each other. And we are allowed to factor out those because they are identical. So I'm going to factor out x plus 2 from both terms. When I do that, I'm just left with 5x plus 1. And that is the question factored fully.